So I'm going to drop today. We're going to take a look at Kuru Footwear. And my good friend Sean McGinnis was kind enough to do a little market research call with me. So I figured I'll return the favor. We'll do a teardown of their site here. Conversion focused website review is the positive language I like to put around it. But the fact of the matter is, we're looking for areas of opportunity or room for improvement. So yeah, just fired up the page here. If you could still see that on your end, I've got a cookies notice and a pop up within the first 5 seconds and a live chat widget.
Hey. Well, yeah, look, the cookies thing, I think there's legal, legitimate reasons to have that. So everybody's used to it anymore. I don't know what else you can really do about that. I would suggest having the chat only show up when you start scrolling down the page a little more. Usually, I mean, it's good to know that it's there, but usually people who, if you're using it for sales and not support, will start scrolling. The same thing with support. They'll go to the footer to look for how to get a hold of you. And that's where, if it pops up midway down. So that helps prevent things like this, even if it's on a timer. That can be good for have a few seconds later.
Yeah.
The pop-up,
I always
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I always like the live chat widgets that have like someone's face on them though, like a person, or at least says something more, purpose oriented than just chat, like how can I help or something like that, right? Like support or something like that feels a little more engaging than this oval that just literally says chat.
Yeah, some of the best ones we've ever tested have just been the ones with faces, basically little photos, and they just say, "I'm here if you need me." Right? They don't even say it's for, let me know if you have questions or anything. It's just, "I'm here if you need me." And because people are going to ask whatever they're going to ask anyways, whether it's support or product related, things of that sort. So you don't really need to prompt them. I think it's common enough now. It's not going to be an issue.
The pop-up's a little weird in that it's like the image. So this isn't the background image, but it's also not like centered. It's almost like something about the styling is off in the CSS. It's almost like these things should be oriented in a different way. It's kind of jarring, but we're people who look at design elements all day, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, it looks somewhat intentional to me because of the way the photo is cropped, right? It's like the perfect shot of the shoes. But it is a little odd. But I think I do like the fact that they're telling you exactly what you're signing up for. They have a privacy policy. They clearly have a no thanks and an X, so that's great. And they're only asking for email address. And they're not doing a discount. So, which I know based on conversations with Sean Kuru is great about not doing discounts. So all in all, I if you're going to do a pop-up right as somebody gets to the site, I give this an A. I give it a B only in terms of the usability because it pops up before I even really know what I'm doing on the site. If I'm a new to file customer, I clicked on an ad and I got here, I don't want to see a pop-up right away. I still don't know what it is I'm buying or looking at.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I think if you're going to do a giveaway, like this is fairly compelling, but doesn't feel like it's given the visual prominence that it deserves. So I wonder if they could do a little bit more with that, or maybe they're testing something there. And I do think it is a little weak in terms of like the health tips and Kuru News. Like, I don't know, that feels superficial to me. So if it's like, self-care tips, like stretching, workout routines, nutrition, whatever it is, like a little bit more detail there might help me figure out if it's relevant to my specific needs or not. Just feels like that real estate's being underutilized maybe. But I do like how they respect everybody's privacy, or not privacy, but respect their inbox by giving them several options to opt out of this, right? Especially because it pops up within the first few seconds. Like a lot of these widgets or plugins tuck away the close button off into the corner so you almost can't find it, or they could have made it black on top of this grayed out background and it's really hard to find. And I'm just glad that they didn't go down that path intentionally or unintentionally. So it looks like my window is resized just a little too small. Like we're catching a tablet version. Maybe you can see the hamburger menu here. So I think if I resize it, that's not going to update on your end unless I stop and restart the screen share. But maybe we can just say this is a tablet or mobile review and consider the desktop later, maybe.
Yeah, I like that they're focusing on the main message here of pain relief. I think that's interesting. I'm a little confused at the products. On the right, it looks like they sell hiking boots, and on the left, that's like a casual kind of more dressy lady shoe. So I'm trying to understand, is the men's all utility and the women's all fashion? It's a little odd for me in terms of the breakdown of the choice of products there.
Yeah. I do like how it's oriented. The buttons are oriented on the same side as the complementary image. I'd love to see the arrow pointing left toward the women's shoe and the men's arrow continue to stay pointing right toward the men's shoe. I think that would be a really clever use of just some subliminal messaging and directing the visitor's eye over there. I'm curious, like, what is the first thing that you would want to click on based on what you can see above the fold here?
I would scroll. I wouldn't even click,
Exactly.
because
That's kind of what I was getting at. It's like nothing really, maybe that's on purpose, but nothing's
Mhm.
really attracting me enough that I would click on it to explore. I mean, maybe if I had the same confusion that you did around, is this a utility shoe? Is this a fashion shoe? Is it all the above? I would go to the menu because I've done enough online shopping that I know there's some kind of categorization in there. But yeah, I would probably just scroll.
Yeah, exactly, and I think even on a smaller browser window like this, you can get the tip of the shoe down below, and that kind of tells me, okay, maybe there's a little more athletic shoe here. So if you start scrolling a little bit, I think that's interesting. I Okay, great. Patented free you from foot pain. Perfect. I would almost just lead with that up top. Right?
Yeah.
I almost feel like they tried to get cute with the language up top, talking about it's beyond belief, and I
Mhm.
kinda got lost there a little bit. I was like, all I want is pain relief if I'm here, and that's what their value prop is. Saying it's patented is just such a great social proof, really. The fact that you were able to get that patent is just really reassuring for people.
Yeah. I think the win here would be to have the 3 different styles all in this same kind of, schematic kind of layout with all the different parts and layers to it. Like, have a fashion shoe, have a work shoe, and then have an athletic shoe in some kind of, like, layered imagery, and show us how you're using the same technology across 3 different use cases, and that kind of visually represents the breadth of the product line that you have, assuming that's true of all 3.
Yeah. Yeah, great
One
point.
thing I noticed is that this free shipping bar, I missed it. I think I brought this up to Sean in a conversation, but, like, this is fairly compelling. I know free shipping's kind of table stakes now, but free exchanges, free returns, like, those are reassurances that people like to see, and I just kinda glossed over it. I wonder if a test would be to put it above the navigation, like a true, top of the
Mhm.
page kind of notice bar, and see if it gets, not that we're expecting anybody to click on it, but I wonder if a micro improvement like that can help with conversion rate or people actually going one layer deeper to shop, knowing that they've got that worry-free guarantee, right?
Yeah, I like the messaging though that the we've tested dozens of messages in those bars. The
Mhm.
only ones that really perform well are free shipping. So that's good to see that they've got
Okay.
that.
Cool. So then they've got a little bit of text in here. I think this could be bigger. Talked to a couple of accessibility experts for the podcast, and they pretty much say, like, if you want to meet the demands of people with disabilities or learning or visual impairments or whatever, you got to start at like 16-point font, and especially on smaller devices, like, it just makes these things more legible. So I don't take that for what it's worth, but that's what the experts are saying, and I could see this being a situation where, like, yeah, this is so small and there's so much here that I'd probably just keep going. And I bet nobody reads this.
Yeah, I look at that as honestly from a insider point of view that it's SEO text. And because it's not really that helpful for the consumer. Sentences like optimized for comfort, bringing you joy at everyday activities. Thousands of people just like you. I don't think anybody's really reading this and getting a whole lot out of it, to be honest. So it's SEO text, in my point of view. I would look at this block and just look for eye tracking. I bet you that nobody's really reading this, or they read the first sentence, and then they just continue on down because they think there's no value there.
Yeah, it's almost like these need to be subheaders up above. Like, this Kuru Soul technology could be referenced right here. Just one
Yep.
additional word or phrase: patented Kuru Soul technology frees you from foot pain, right? Or something like
Mhm.
that. Could get this entire paragraph off the page, and then some of this other stuff could maybe go in the hero section. But yeah, I think if it's not moving somebody forward in the decision making process, then it can probably be going, or at least it's worth testing a removal there. Let's see, and then It's interesting. They lead with Sezzle, which is, if I'm not mistaken, that's like a kind of a layaway type of plugin,
Mhm.
right? It's like you can do partial payments, and to me, the average consumer probably doesn't know what Sezzle is, but that little buy now, pay later thing kind of makes it clear. So my first thought would be, well, how expensive are these shoes? You know, like that's I don't
Mhm.
know if that's maybe they want to get that out of the way to qualify consumers, but yeah, I would be like, wow, are these things going to be like $300? Like, what? Why would I need a payment plan for a pair of shoes?
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a segment of the audience who, no matter what product you're selling, that will want to take advantage of something like that or need to. However, we have found in all of our testing that having that noted on the product detail page can be helpful, and then having it really prominent during checkout where that decision is happening. So noting in the product detail page that it's an option is going to be really helpful, but having it here and leading with it, it almost feels like an ad for Sezzle, not really providing value for your consumers.
Yeah. Product photography is great though. I mean, this is some more athletic footwear and you've got some younger folks using it. So anytime I hear foot pain, I kind of skew toward like the 65 and over crowd or something like that. But
Yeah.
I know that's not indicative of real life. A lot of people have foot pain for various reasons. So glad to see some diversity in how the product's presented there. And then
And I
basically all
really
we have is, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just say I really love that photo because you can't really see the faces of
Mhm.
the ladies, so you're focusing on the shoes.
Right.
And otherwise, if we did eye tracking on this, we would clearly see that most of the eyes are going to the faces because as humans, we're attracted to looking at other faces. So
Yeah.
it's usually something we like to alter as soon as we can.
Yep. And then we have kind of your standard footer here. We've got some contact information and customer care resources, but nothing jumps out at me as particularly like innovative or against the status quo. Any observations from you down there?
I would say move the contact information to the bottom right corner. The reason being, and kind of maybe shifting everything else to the left. The reason being, consumers, when they want to get a hold of somebody, they scroll and look at the bottom right corner of the footer first, because that's where we're trained to look for contact information. The other thing that's missing in this footer is product navigation. So let's think about this for a second. I'm on my iPad. I just wanted to scroll down, as I said earlier, to learn more about the products. I get here. What are my options? Scroll all the way back up and click on Shop Men's, or go to the nav. That's a lot of extra work if I just want to see what are the categories. Do they only sell work shoes or utility shoes? Um, so I think, having that product navigation on the left in terms of the main categories, and I'm not talking men, women, I'm talking main type of product categories there. Um, would I think it's a huge missed opportunity and something that I would put there immediately.
Yeah, totally agree. And with a little bit of advanced knowledge, I think I know why there's not a product navigation there. So if we look at the main navigation,
Hmm.
you'll probably see. So this is again, I think I'm triggering a tablet or a mobile version of the site, but on the desktop, I know they have a massive mega menu that's oriented around. I wanted to say diseases, but it's not really. It's like different ailments, right? Like foot pain, ankle pain, back pain, whatever. So that might be part of it. Like, yeah, you can see under women's, we've got shop by category, shop by foot pain, shop by the activity that you do, shop by the career that you hold. So on the desktop version, like each one of these has many, many, many different types of sub categories underneath them. So I wonder if they're struggling with how to present all of these options in something as simple as a footer menu? Maybe the answer is just like choose one and go women's shoes by activity and leave it at that, right? Or women's shoes by like it's probably worth testing, right? Which one gets more engagement? But I'm
Yeah.
curious about your thoughts there because with a seemingly large product catalog and maybe not even the catalog, but a bunch of different ways that they want to slice up their catalog to target specific
Mhm.
demographics. How do you get that into the footer and how do you get that into the primary navigation?
Well, you could just do, knowing this, you could go up a level from what I was talking about and just do the shop by category, shop by pain, shop by activity,
Mhm.
shop by career. In terms of category, I don't know if I would list that one. I might do, you could do something like shop by gender, um, I would instead of category, I would actually say style. This looks more like style to me, right? It's slip on, hiking, sneakers, dress, right? So I would change that from category to style, first of all. And then I would just say stop, shop by style, shop by foot pain, activity, career, and leave it at those four. Um, and if you wanted to do one that was shot by gender, you could, but I don't know that that's necessary. I think
Mm.
on category, it should, if you click on that, it should just take you to all, and then you can choose to filter more as you'd like.
Yeah. Okay. So curious about just the general nav. I think we glossed over that a little bit. I do like how they have the contact information embedded inside of the navigation. Would love to see the phone number prominent somewhere over here, right? I
Yeah.
know we always like to emphasize that, that showing the number and showing that it's not, maybe not a 1-800 number or something like that, would be nice. Same with the email and the text. Like, let's get the actual information up front instead
Mhm.
of burying it one click deeper. But in terms of these primary navigation items, anything that strikes you as like something strong or an area for improvement?
Um, well, first of all, on those phone, text, email, I think on mobile, it's great that you can just click on them and start the call and that type of stuff. So that's good. But on desktop, you definitely want to show it, and in the footer, you definitely want to show that information. I would, the why Kuru is a little self-serving, for lack of a better term. We see this quite often in navigations where brands want to talk about themselves, and the problem, there's always like an about or any of that kind of stuff in navigation. On direct to consumer brands, the biggest issue is that consumers, they want this information during the decision making process. And so that means you need to be baking the why Kuru type of content into the product category and product detail pages instead of having it in a navigation siloed off by itself. That is really where it's going to become kind of abandoned, really, right? Consumers aren't going to look at that page very often. And if you really want to communicate something there, make sure you're doing it in a position where people are along that journey of research and purchase.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's commonly shared wisdom from copywriters that like telling stories improves conversion rate, or telling stories reassures your customer and makes them more likely to buy from you, whatever. And
Mhm.
I think the default there is to write an about page. But your point is spot on, at least in my opinion, is that you can have the about page. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the primary navigation, but you want to weave the story into the post purchase email sequence. It needs to be in product descriptions. It needs to be in the hero section of category pages. It needs to be in the social proof testimonials that you have on various pages. Like, that's, I think, what copywriters mean by telling the story. But I think the default is, let me just put all of my story on one page and slam it into the main navigation and move on to the next podcast episode recommendation, right? Um,
Right. Yep.
Okay. So I don't know that I want to go all the way down into like a category page, but maybe let's just take a high level look at one. Does anything, maybe let's do a career. That'd be kind of fun. Let's look at I've got a healthcare background. So let's look at the women's nursing and healthcare offerings. So this, I think, is a repeat of your SEO assumption or hypothesis. Is like, this just screams, I've got SEO keywords and phrases embedded in here, and that's the only reason this is at the top of the page versus like an image header or something like that.
Yeah, this is really disappointing to see. If I'm a nurse and I'm coming here, I'm not reading this. Having the social proof this high up is okay, like, but it's not as effective as it would be further down the decision funnel. What if we scroll down? What? Yeah, and then it's weird. It's find this trio of technology in any of these styles, but there's no trio of technology.
Right.
So I don't really know what that's about. Um, Yeah, I'm with you that clearly seems to just scream SEO to me, and a lot of consumers are okay with it and just move on. But the reality here is that if we did a scroll map on this, we'd probably see a lot of drop off.
Right. And I think there's a way that, if search engine optimization and organic search is a big part of how you drive traffic and how you drive leads and how you attract customers, there's a way to do this that like just feels better, right? Like doesn't compromise the user experience as they're navigating the site. Like you could have big, beautiful product imagery with kind of a dark overlay and a text box on top of it. Maybe cut this text in half or something, and you still are kind of solving that purpose. You can even have the same exact headline. Like this is very clear. I bet if we throw this into Hrefs, we're going to find some kind of keyword report for with traffic and volume and keyword difficulty and stuff like that. Because that just screams like for nursing and healthcare. Like I don't know, that just is the marketer in me has like a red alarm going off that that's what that's for. So you can keep it, but you can present it like you can have a picture of John on the right half of that hero section with his testimonial overlaid on him. You know, like you can make this work, take up the same amount of screen real estate, but have it be a much more compelling representation of the same material and incentivize somebody to scroll down and explore deeper instead of just like not getting any of this and going straight down to see if they can find what they want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think on the left hand side, the filtering is great. If I have a specific pain point, that's great. The width, color, size, all that stuff is wonderful.
Mhm.
It is weird that they have width in there twice. There's something
Yeah.
going on with their filtering, and probably just that's just product. The attributes that they've assigned to their wide range of products. But yeah, I think look, there's also clear CTAs that are missing on each of these. If I want to learn more or view details, yeah, I guess I can click on it, but you're not telling the consumer what they could do. I also would give this some breathing room. Right
Mhm.
now, it's like Kinetic and 150 are so far away, but Atom and 150 are really close. So I'm wondering, okay, I think I can make that in my mind great, but I would almost do, even a box around them or just give them a lot more space and make the image a little smaller, right? Reduce the image by 25% and just add that as a gutter between the product tiles, and then add a clear call to action below it that is something that says view more, view details, um, you know and make it a button, right? I wouldn't just have it be text. I would literally make it a button.
Yeah, I agree that's not super intuitive to click on the text to actually view the shoe. The text or the image makes sense to me. The text
Mhm.
maybe not so much. And then everything else is like not clickable. You can look at the reviews. So yeah, definitely agree with the assessment to add a CTA in there. And then, but I do like that these reviews seem to be customized based on at least the model. So this is 298, but this is 493. Like I've seen a lot of sites that will always say 2,300 reviews there. And what they're doing is they're presenting all of their reviews and they've got 4.5 stars or whatever. But I like that it seems to be contextualized to that model. I'm curious, maybe before we go, one more question for you. So clearly they've got the same model of shoe shown here multiple times in the different colorways and stuff like that. I'm guessing they don't have a huge product catalog, and maybe this is an attempt to either make it look bigger and keep people on the page longer, or just a convenience factor of showing the different colorways all on one page so that somebody can find the one that's right for them. But I'm always curious, like, do we have a definitive opinion on whether they should just have the three models here, and then when somebody clicks through, they can explore the colorways, or presenting them all on the same page like this and letting the shopper choose the one that is most appealing to them?
Yeah, great question, and something I was going to call out as well. What I would recommend doing here is running a split test, or an A/B test, pretty clearly of uh, combining them all into one product tile with the color swatches below,
Mhm.
and then when you roll over and or click on a color swatch, it changes the image. But the other option here is also, no matter what, you should have color swatches. So even if you have the atom in two colors, right, you should have the remaining color swatches below it.
Mm.
So, that way people know it comes in multiple colors, and what those colors are. Um, and I think what you could do even here is get rid of the color name because it's obviously not human. It's an attribute on the product, and they're just displaying it. It's not the human readable description. So I
Right.
think having something like tidal wave white dash oasis blue all crammed together like that. At least they tried to make it, sentence case, or well, what is that called? Camel case or whatever.
Title case, maybe? Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, title case. A good thing I'm not a editor. writer. So yeah, I think that it's something where I would definitely just maybe get rid of those, because most people don't care what the color name is. They're really interested in the actual view of the colors, right? Um, so something to
Yeah,
think of.
I think that's definitely worth a test. And the other thing I've seen is like making these so you'd only have 5 or 6 of these, however many different models of shoe you have, and then it'd be like an image carousel where you'd have left and right navigation elements that let you kind of cycle through the different colorways or the same colorway but like different angles of the shoe. So you see the sole, or you see top
Mhm.
down, or you see some
Yeah,
kind of 45-degree angle. I don't know. There are a bunch of things that you could test here, but this feels like a fairly simplistic approach. And again, we don't know anything about their customer demographic. So maybe, if there are folks that skew a little bit to the older side of things, like maybe they want simplistic and they don't want a bunch of
mhm,
elements to help them navigate through it. And we just don't have complete information. But in the absence of that, I think it's definitely something that's worth testing.
yeah,
So maybe we'll wrap it up there, because I think that's a good place to stop. I don't want to go into a product page because I feel like we'll just get really in the weeds. We'll be here all
yeah,
day.
yeah. Unfortunately, I have to go too. So, but this
Yeah,
was fun, and hopefully, this is valuable for Kuru and the crew there, and we can always continue this journey later.
totally agreed. All right, John, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, James.
Yep. Bye.